Hello and welcome back. This is part number 2 of the previous exercise we were working on, implementing the main view. Where we last left off, we finished implementing all of the JSPs. Now, in order to make sure these JSPs render, we're going to create a number of MVC render commands to, render those JSPs. So let's take a look and see how we're able to create those MVC render commands. And I'll go ahead and close these JSPs here, starting from a new blank slate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a class that's going to contain all of the various name parameters that we have throughout our JSP. So for example, over here in the entry actions.jsp, for the value, right, the parameter that's being passed over to our render command, the one that we are most interested in, you'll see that it's been abstracted out into a class called MVC command names. So we're going to be creating that class. So let's head over to the source main Java. Let's open it up, head over to Liferay training, gradebook web constants. This is where we're going to be creating our class, heading over to new, followed by class. So the name of the class is, as we saw earlier, MVC in capital letters, followed by command, and then names. So multiple names, make sure that there's that S at the end. Go ahead and click finish once you're through typing in that name. From our exercises or materials, go ahead and grab the next snippet here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and grab the snippet for me. Looks like we need to replace everything. So let me highlight everything, we'll remove it, and then replace it with the snippet. So you'll see a lot of the various strings that are referenced in those various JSPs, and here we'll see those values of those strings. So /gradebook, /assignment, /add. Again, this is Liferay convention, so we consider this as best practice. If you really wanted to do something different for the actual string value, you could. But again, sticking with the way that we like to do things at Liferay, this is the way we have it, making sure that each one of these are indeed unique. So make sure to save the file if you haven't done so already. So again, this is just a very simple, easy way to abstract out all of the strings or all of the various values that are being passed to our render commands. If we ever need to change them, we don't since they're final. But let's say you're just testing things out and you wanted something different. It's very easy to change it up here in the class, but they are final, so that's not something that we're looking to do. Okay, let's go ahead and implement the MVC render command. Now we're going to put this into its own folder. So we're going to do that in one quick step. So we'll create the folder and create the class at the same time. So we'll right click source main Java, head over to new, followed by class. Technically it's a package, so I should use proper terminology. So Liferay training, gradebook web, and then portlet. And then after portlet, we're going to add .action. So creating a new package. The name of the class will be view assignments with an S, MVC render command, just like so. Again, if you ever need to pause, feel free to pause or speed me up. Let's head back over to our exercises. Next snippet, we'll go ahead and paste. The materials do let us know we may run into an error, so if you do run into errors, that's perfectly fine. We'll have those resolved soon. So let's go ahead and save the file. Let's take note of some of the things that are going on here. So this is the view assignments MVC render command. So within a render command or any MVC command, we want to look straight at the component. So here within the component, first things first, let's take a look at the portlet that we are listening to. So we're listening to the gradebook portlet keys.gradebook. We do have an error there. This might be gradebook in all capitals. So that's a pretty easy fix there. Let me change that. So gradebook in capital letters. All right, MVC command name, this one here. So appending to the MVC command name, or I should say the MVC command name that we are listening for, is this view_assignments. So again, we abstracted out the view_assignments into its own string in this class MVC command names, view_assignments. So looking specifically at the /gradebook/assignment/view. So we can find that over in the JSP world. So let's make that connection really quick. And let's see if I can get the right one, view assignments. So that should be over in the entry. Let's see if we can find it. Let's double check, view assignments with an S. So we got to be careful there. Let's see, entry actions. I don't think it'll be there. So entry_actions. So it should be this entry search. So looking at the view assignments MVC render command, we'll see if this renders or not. Since we do have view assignment in other areas, we'll see how this plays out. So we do have view assignment and then view assignments. So we'll see which one specifically is this going to play out. But assuming that the parameter is heard, right, we then invoke the render method here, all of that to get us to render the view.jsp. So there's a number of attributes that we can add to the render request object, right? So that once the JSP is being rendered, we can pull those attributes and then we can display whatever it is that we want to display based off of those attributes. This next method here, add assignment list attributes, being called right here. And then as we described up there, adding those attributes that we would like to. Again, there's some comments here, so feel free to look through this chunk of code. Again, the main idea is to be able to render that view.jsp, and we do so in a way so that we can render all of those assignments as we need to. Again, those errors will be taken care of very shortly, so let's not concern ourselves too much with that just yet. Okay, let's go ahead and create another MVC render command. This one is going to be helping us render the JSP so that we can see one specific assignment. So using the same package that we just created, the one with the dash actions at the end, we'll call this view single assignment MVC render command. Heading back over to our exercises, right, next up. Okay, we'll go ahead and copy, bring this over, and then we have the view assignment. So this one is a connection that we can see very quickly. Let's change this gradebook to capital letters, or rather we can change gradebook previously that we saw to lowercase. So I'll leave that up to you. That's probably something that I missed. Let's do it like this. I personally like it in capital letters, but again, I leave that stylistic choice up to you, however you want to do it. But the exercises do have it so that it is lowercase. So let me go ahead and change that. So that's my mistake. Let me change this up here. It looks like it's like this. Gradebook, and let's save this file, and then capital G, there we go. Okay, so just getting things back to the way they were. Again, the choice is yours, however you want to do it. Okay, so over in the view single assignment MVC render command, so once this specific attribute is picked up by our component, right, it'll then invoke the render method here. And here within the render method, we're trying to get an assignment based off of its assignment ID. So we can assume that the assignment ID is being passed as a parameter here into the render phase, right? So you'll see an API call here on line 56 to get the assignment based off of the assignment ID, right? We do a little bit of formatting here so we can get the date the way that we want it. And we set a number of attributes as well for the assignment, the due date, and the create date. do a couple of other things, and then we want to render this specific JSP, the view_assignment.jsp. So what we're going to see on the UI is we'll have a specific assignment available. We click on the title of the assignment. It'll then invoke the MVC render command. It'll invoke this specific MVC render command based off of the parameter that we see. Here in the entry search columns.jspf, where it shows each specific assignment, or at least helps us to do that, you'll see within each title, it'll have this anchor tag, view assignment URL. We click on that, it invokes the render URL, which will then pass this value, view assignment. We then created this MVC render command to hear this parameter being passed, and then it'll invoke the render phase to then render this specific JSP. And lastly, we're going to then implement the UI management toolbar. There's a lot of detail that goes behind that. There is some documentation made available for you, so feel free to read up on that if you want some additional details. Otherwise, for the sake of the length of these videos, we'll go ahead and leave that as additional homework for you. So let's go ahead and create one more class here. And I'll show you kind of a simpler way to do this. If you're over here with me in Eclipse or Liferay Developer Studio, you can head over to the error here on line number 17. Once you highlight over it, it'll ask you if you want to create the class, and then you can go ahead and click on Create Class, and it'll make it for you. Otherwise, you can follow the process that we went through a little bit ago to create the class. All right, last part here, we'll go ahead and copy, highlight everything, and then replace it with what we just copied. You'll see the error go away in the previous assignment here. I'll head back over to the gradebook portlet. Since gradebook was capitalized in the beginning like this, I'll have to change this. So my apologies in advance for that error there. All right, so as we've been progressing through, each time we've saved, the application has redeployed. So we can go ahead and take a look at this over in our Liferay instance. I'll go ahead and refresh the page. We don't have any sort of permission checking, so we don't need to worry too much there. And here we'll see our application. So we'll see this add assignment. When we click on it, it should bring us over to this JSP here. So far so good. I think things are looking okay. Right, so we'll implement the add button in a little bit, but this wraps it up for implementing the main view, and I'll see you in the next video.